Namaste. Sri Krishnaya Paramatmane Namaha. So by Lord Sri Krishna's Kripa, Anugraham, and his Ashirvadam, we are now going into the 14th chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So we have just finished Kshetra Vibhaga Yoga. In the last two classes, we finished in two sections. Now, as usual, once we start a chapter, we look at the context of this. One second. We need to look at the context of the chapter. No, so the context comes from the 13th chapter. The relation from the 13th chapter comes from two places actually. The two shlokas which are in very close relation for the 14th chapter to start was, Bhagavan said in this particular shloka number 27, Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetrajna sanyoga tad vidhi bharatarshava. So, Bhagavan said this kshetram and kshetrajna, which we understood from the last class. Yes. So, we are all the kshetram. In the way our Jivatma is there with all the other body, mind, and complex. And Kshetragya is the Paramatma, the Atman, which is there in everyone. And this particular shloka said, Sanyogat, in the Kshetra, Kshetragya Sanyogat. By their kind of connection, yeah, Sanyogat means yoga, means some kind of a connection or even you can say unison. By their unison, Bharata Rashava, everything in this whole context of this creation, everything in the creation, not only in the context, the whole creation, anything is there, name, form, and everything has been created. That's one thing. Keep that one there. So Bhagavan will come to that creation in the first four shlokas, how that happens. Then, how does that relate to the jnanam of Gunatraya, the three gunan? Because in the last one, Bhagavan said, in the last shloka, Kshetra Kshetrajnayoho Yevam Antaram. Antaram means in them, okay, Antaram. Inside them. Inside them means in both of them, there is that connection that happens in the creation. Correct. But then, in that connection, when you look into the Yevam Jnana Chakshusha, meaning to say the vision of the intrinsic philosophic knowledge in their unison, when one observe that and get to know the context of yourself in the creation and the ultimate tattva in the creation, or which is Ishvara, Bhuta Prakriti Moksham cha de evidur yanti te param. Then our lakshya is all moksha, right? Whether there is Prakriti or how that is in the context, that's all fine. But at the end of the day, we want that moksha, which is that, and the moksham is itself is a jnanam. But how the jnanam evolves that into a moksha, Bhagavan wants to expand it in the next chapter through the triguna. Guna. What is that guna? We have to see that. So when we say, let's keep the word guna. As a guna, sometimes we take it as a characteristics, attributes, or some kind of it's a objectifiable identity or a principle in this creation. So what Bhagavan is going to give you is the relative principles in this particular creation within the context of Kshetram and Kshetrajnam, so that we can attain the moksha by leveraging these principles in this creation. And one thing we all must note, this analysis of Gunatrayam, that is what we will see in this particular chapter, is very unique in Bhagavad Gita, and that this kind of an identification of the guna and then their leveraging of that knowledge to attain the moksha is very unique in Bhagavad Gita. So the importance of this Chaturdasha Yoga, Chaturdashodhyaya, comes in that context. So that I wanted to kind of please emphasize. This is something that we can straight away take the knowledge and apply it today, right after the class. That's very important that I wanted to emphasize. Because we are all the time, we get knowledge, certain knowledge which are abstract, certain knowledge which are intrinsic, certain knowledge which are kind of totally relative. But how can I apply it in the form of not just a kind of myself, to condition myself in this? That important knowledge you get in this particular chapter. That is why Bhagavan says param bhuyaha. Bhuyaha means repeating. So param bhuyaha pravakshami. Param means that uttamam, that which is so ultimate. That ultimate jnanam, again I'm going to reveal, he says. So when Bhagavan says again he is going to reveal that jnananam jnanam uttamam. Of all the knowledge, that this is such an important knowledge, Bhagavan says. So that one, and also by knowing this knowledge, Munaya sarve param siddhim ito gataha, and they have all attained that liberation moksham. So now we understand why Bhagavan said that moksham from the kshetrajna sanyogam, that jnanam antaram jnana chakshusha, that he is going to give you that vision. So by we opening that, seeing the knowledge that is being imparted by Lord Bhagavan Sri Krishna in this, we can attain that moksha very easily. That's the context. But while giving the context in the first 4 sloka, Bhagavan also says, idam jnanam upashyatya mama sadharmimagataha sargepi nopi jayante. They say, this particular ultimate gunatraya vibhaga jnanam upashritya. That's very important. That's what I go into the key word. Upasana means what? By putting it into practice. Upa ashritya. So that means this jnanam is an applicable knowledge directly today, right at this moment. So that means this knowledge is so important and is very unique to Bhagavad Gita. You will not find this kind of a beautiful revelation in many other shastras. If it may be, it is my ignorance, but to the best of my little of my knowledge, this is very unique. And sargepi nopi jayante means we will, of course, he will not be born again, means he attains that moksham pralayena, that is on the antakale, even if he has to link so nav yatanti, he doesn't get into that particular tangle of repeated creation after this kalpa. And so Bhagavan says, so mama yonir mahat brahma tasmin garmam dadamyaham. So what Bhagavan says, Arjuna, in this, because he wanted to come to the creation, the unison between kshetrajnam and kshetragyam. So Bhagavan gives you one clear context in this shloka number 3 and 4. In the 3 and 4, Bhagavan, what he says, the kshetram, as we say, kshetram, because everything is kshetram in this. The house you are residing is kshetram, your body is kshetram, the whole world is kshetram, everything is kshetram, right? To the moon, to the sun, to the skies, and everything, cosmos. But kshetrajna is the Paramatma or Atman which is there. So this kshetram, full kshetram, which is objectifiable, certain things which you can't see beyond that, everything Bhagavan says is the real yoni. Yoni means that's the womb, and that is equal to Maya or this Prakriti. So this kshetram is in this particular context is the Prakriti, and that Prakriti is the Maya. And kshetrajnaha, here in this context, Bhagavan is that is Atman, that is Paramatma. So here Krishna is in the Rupa Brahman. Mahat Brahm. So in this, what Bhagavan says, Mama Yonihi. When he says Mama Yonihi, Mama Maya. In that Maya, what Bhagavan says, the Maya is like my Radha, or is like my wife, something like that. Into that, me as the Lord sows the seed, bijam. From that, the whole creation comes. So what Bhagavan wants to really say here is, You understand even in shloka number 4 of chapter number 4, he says, Prakritim swamadhishtaya, Prakritim swamadhishtaya sambhavam atmamayaya. So link all those things. So what Bhagavan says is, it is like he is the Hiranya Garbha. That is why the Chaturmukha Brahma is also called as Hiranya Garbha. Garbha means he is the Yoni. And that is why Mahavishnu is called Padmanabha. Because from his Nabi is that Chaturmukha Brahma comes. And then the whole creation starts. So what Bhagavan says is in this whole thing is, Arjuna, this whole creation, the ultimate Jagat Pita is, I am the Jagat Pita. This Prakriti Maya is like the Jagan Mata, in simple term. And that this whole creation is created. In fact, the Jagan Maya also is his own is projection. Mata cha Pita eva. He is the Mata and he is a Pita. But he projects this Maya as his Bharya. So he says the whole creation, Arjuna, is created by Ishvara, through Ishvara, by Ishvara. Okay, so the Mula is, that is the raw material. The source is also Ishvara. The intelligent causer is also Ishvara, and the equipment or the Yoni, because you need one other entity to project and create this creation, that is also Bhagavan. But Bhagavan projects his Maya, and the Maya is something that we all can understand. We can objectify. So the whole thing is, but can we understand Maya? We cannot. Maya is something beyond our normal conception. But what Bhagavan really wants to know for you is very important. We leverage this Maya to your moksha. See, the main thing here is the bandhanam. Bandhanam means this attachment, or this repeated cycle in the samsara sagaram, is also by Maya. The key what he wants to tell you is the moksham also through Maya. Arjuna, use your cleverness to leverage that Maya, which you think is a cause of your attachment, to be of your release for your moksha. That is the intelligence that Bhagavan wants to give you here. And so that's up to the shloka 4. You understand? That's why he says, Bijam Prataf Pita. So but the main thing he wants, what I want you to get into the whole concept before we get into this Triguna Maya, is to make sure that this Maya, though I may not need to understand the real functionalities of question of how, but I can understand the why, the reason in my contextual analysis of to get released through the Maya. That abhyasa is what Bhagavan is trying to say. This is jnanam upashritya. Again, everything from the same what, right? Upashritya. Parvayananam yajnata manasaram jnana pravakshami either. Yeah, jnanam upashritya. So this jnanam is a upasana jnanam. Again, same word. Upasana jnana means that it is a practically applicable knowledge. Then coming to this jnanam. First, so we have seen the purpose of the goal of this particular Triguna, this Adhyaya, and that it's a practically applicable knowledge. And the knowledge will, the goal is also defined, because by having this knowledge and applying this knowledge, the principles of knowledge, I can get moksha too. Not just for appearing. And now Bhagavan gets into more from the shloka number 5. So the 5 to 20. So 5 to 20, which are 16 shlokas, Bhagavan will dwell more deep into this Triguna Maya. Triguna, actually Guna only he goes into. Very, very clear. He gets into the Guna. Guna means these indicators, these monitors, these indicators. So that is why he is going to give you the principles. See, the principles are important for you to do the Upasana. By just knowing Maya, and end of the day to know, because Maya itself is Ya Ma Sa Maya. that which is not there, which is Maya. So what is the point in knowing just the Maya, and then to say, yeah, Maya cannot be understood. That's what I understood of Maya. Okay, where is Moksham now? Oh yeah, I was only on Maya. No, that's why Bhagavan is very clever in giving you this knowledge. He wants to give you the knowledge so that take the fundamentals, principles, operating functions of this Maya, and you use the operating functions to your advantage and get out of it. That is his thing. And so to get to that point, what Krishna says, Sattvam Rajas Tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha. This Maya, Triguna Maya, but again we say Triguna Maya, he says, and we have seen in many places, but Krishna so far has only addressed it very slightly. Sattvaha, Rajas and Tamas. Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas. These are the three important guna. These gunas can be taken as an attribute or a reflected properties, but they are all coherently one. That also Bhagavan will say. Very important. But he says this admixture of these three gunas, Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas. These three together, Arjuna, together, Nibatnanti, they are the cause of the attachments in this Dehe, in your Dehi or in your Kshetre. Dehi is equal to Kshetre. In your Kshetram, in that Kshetri, Dehinam Avyayam, Dehinam means Kshetri. That means the Jivatma, which is there in this Kshetra, regarding as individual identity, the attachment comes because of this Triguna Maya. He has made a statement in the Shloka 5. So the attachment is due to that. And then he says, now he's going to kind of give you brief description of all the three gunas. Tatra, meaning to say, in that Maya, Sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena bhatnati jnana sangena chanala. Meaning to say, because we said attaching, right? All three are attaching. Very important. Sattva is also attaching, Rajas is also attaching, Tamas is also attaching. Now, Bhagavan is trying to say how these three attach you. Attach you means how they bring the attachment to you. The attachment by Sattva, Krishna says, that is Nirmalam, that's a pure attachment. These are very important. Sattvam is a Nirmalatvat. There is no dosham really in this. It is a kind of, okay, but still attachment. Nirmalatvat, Prakasham, meaning to say that is giving you something of a light. It gives you light. Anamayam, Amayam means some kind of a, Amayam normally means a disease. Disease means Vyadi. So Anamayam means it is deflect of any kind of disease. And Sukha Sangena, and it's a kind of a comfortable attachment. And Jnana Sanghena, and it is also giving you attachment to the Jnanam. So it is something like a Vidya Maya. Sattvam is like a Vidya Maya. But yet, we have to get out of the Sattvam as well. Because it is still an attachment. That's all what he's saying. His words are very clear. He says it's still an attachment. It's a kind of the best of the attachment, Arjuna. Best of the attachment because it is flawless. It is giving you some light. So it is giving you direction, and it is giving you can the utmost leverage. That means what we need to do, Sattva Jnanam or a Sattva, if I can promulgate, if I can expand myself in the Sattva aspect of Maya, that is going to be the easiest for me to get moksha. So I'm just getting to the one. Then he says, Rajas, he's only giving a statement, but I'm just trying to kind of getting you into the clue, the cue into these particular ones. Then Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi Trishna Sangha Samadvam Tanni Batnati Kaunteya Karma Sangena Dehinam. Here the true important word is Trishna and Sangha Samutsam Udbhavam. Trishna means this Rajas Gunam, what it does to you, Arjuna, because these are gunas in you as well. These are gunas in you and the gunas outside, both sides. That is why guna guneshu vartante. So this Trishna in you, so this is all from an individual context. So the Trishna guna in any individual, when that happens, the Rajas guna, when Arjuna, when that happens, it gives you first a Trishna. Trishna means hunger, or Trishna means thirsty, or means thirst for acquiring this. First, oh yes, I need to get it. So a want, a desire is planted by Rajas. Oh, and anything, it could be anything. Oh, I need to catch the train at 7:48. Whatever it is, that's Trishna. Then Sangha, Trishna, Sangha. Sangha means what here? What, you have got it now. You have somehow got the object. Now you don't want to lose it. So first the desire or the kind of seed that is planted for you to get that object, and then after getting the object, then there is one more, the rajas, the one which says, hey, we should not lose it. Hey, make sure there is no loss, because the whole market is going volatile. Oh my God, I put everything in super. Make sure that nothing is going down. Baba, I still need 20, 30 years where whatever it is. That's also kind of a sangha. But then again, this is rajas. You want to have something and you want to make sure that it doesn't go away from your hand. That is and then because of that, what do you have to do? Karma Sangyana, you have to work for it. Nothing remains in your hand without you doing work. Nothing comes without you making an effort. You want to catch a 7:48 train, you better walk or you better go to the station. Station will not come to you. Right? So it always involves an action. So it binds you, the Rajas Guna binds you through action. Okay, we got that clue there. Then the next one, Tamas. The Tamas Guna, these are all the behavioral pattern of the Gunas. So the Tamas Guna, Krishna says, Mohanam Sarva Dehinam. This is a completely what do you call this, clouding nature of a one. Pramadalasya nidra bhi tannibatnadi nidra. This is the one which wants you to make sleep. And at the same time, alasyam. See, that is why you sleep a lot and then you go late. Alasyam also is a laziness. Right? So, alasyam, laziness, that you puts you down like a depression, pramadat. Pramadat means that you don't want to know anything, inability to think. Are isse kya, what to do? Yeah, why repeatedly I'm learning. Nothing happens. Kya karne ka hai? Are ya chalo ya kuch dosa kayenge. Abhi kya kar padne ka? Ye sab pramadat, nidra bhi. You just give up. Just give up. I'm fed up. I don't want anymore. I just don't want that kind of a feeling. That is from a tamas. So he says these are the kind of, and that is also an attachment. Mohanam sarva dehinam. And that completely put you into a darkness. Mohanam, all these things are completely into darkness. Whereas you see sattva, he says prakasham, gives it's bright, it's lightning, not enlightening to a certain extent. But this one is darkening. It is taking you away. And in between caught is a rajas. Okay. So then what he says, and the resultant effect of his Arjuna, in a way, because these are all in the realm of Maya, in the operating functions of Maya. He says, Sattvam Sukhev Sanjayati. Sattvam normally, Arjuna, most often, it gives you happiness. Happiness. Sukha means comfort. You just take it as a comfort. Sukhe Sanjayati. It happens in the realm of happiness or comfortness. Rajas always operates in the realm of work. This person is always, Rajas Guna is there. You have to toil. He works hard, but Rajas is there. And the tamas, that is jnana mavritya, it clouds even the little bit of common sense he had, or little bit of an operation, even in the worldly, objectifiable knowledge also, it clouds it. And pramade, it is completely puts him into a dull head, lazy one. But Bhagavan says, but Arjuna, you know what, in this whole creation, this shloka number, Rajastamascha Vibhuya Sattvam Bhavati Varada, Rajasattam Tamascheva, Tamasattam Rajastata. He said, but there is nothing like a pure 100% Sattvam. There is nothing like 100 pure Rajas. There is nothing like 100 pure Tamas. It is never possible in this creation. He could be the most realized Jivan Mukta, even he will have something. That's very important to know in this. The only, this is where again the Ishvara Tattvam comes. Who is Ishvara? Ishvara is nothing but 100% Sattvam. Only one identity in this possible world. 100% Sattvam is Ishvara. Ishvara is 100% Sattvam. Now, so what Bhagavan says, only Arjuna, they operate under three kind of admixture, where when this rajas tamas chav is sattvam body. In the sattvam, even if you say rajas or some sattvam is there, in that there is a portion of rajas, there is a portion of tamas. Sattvam exists in the, that is, sattvam exists in the maya with a little portion of rajas tamas sticking to it. There is no 100% sattvam. That's what Bhagavan is saying here. And Rajas also has got a Sattvam Tamas Chaiva. Rajas also, Arjuna, it has got some Sattvam and Tamas in that. And Tamas also has got little bit of Sattvam and Rajas. Only thing, the proportions are different. And they operate like that. That's how they behave. That's how they reflect in the world. So now Bhagavan, having given us this particular functioning attributes and their qualities of these three guna, now he is also going to give you the indicators, lingam. See, that is why Bhagavan is, every word in these kind of things is so important. So when we have this kind of a guna reflected, we can say, hey, this is due to this is due to, and henceforth in the Bhagavad Gita, when we learn up to 18th chapter, everything, lot of these things will become on Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas. And really, the practically applicable portion of Bhagavad Gita comes from now. Shloka number, chapter 14. 15, you may not get much. 16, you will get little bit. 17 and 18 is full of applicable. What is a Sattva karma? Karma also can be Sattva karma, Rajas karma, Tamas karma. Jnanam also, Sattva jnanam, then Buddhi also, Sattva Buddhi, Rajas Buddhi, Tamas Buddhi. Shraddha also. So everything will be spread into that. So you have to put all this composite knowledge together. Then you can have a beautiful knowledge out of Gita to applicable at morning to evening. Okay. So what Bhagavan says, look, Arjuna, sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tata vidyad vivritam sattvam ityuta. You know, Arjuna, Sarvadvareshu means the jnanendriyam, through your eyes, through your nose, through your ears, through your skin, through your mouth, and also everything internal organs. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin, in this jivan, this jivatma, this is mostly for the humans. Prakasha upajayate. Prakasha means that light, to know something. Jnanam yada tada, that time, that's the best opportunity time when when it is ready to learn. Like for example, now, you know, this ready to learn, vidyat vivritam sattvam ityuta. So that is the time the sattvam is coming. See, the thing is, we have to understand why Bhagavan is giving these indications is knowingly, unknowingly, by your own inherent nature. This is what we call samskaram. Everybody gets this reflection of sattvam, rajas, tamas. But there is also a externally conditioning nature by which happens. When such things, what Bhagavan says, when such environment, when such things happens, Arjuna, use it to the maximum extent to moksha. So for example, in the early morning, when things are very peaceful normally, right? You can normally think very clearly because you have had a good rest. Maybe you have had a good cup of chai or a coffee and things like that. Then, or, you know, even when you are just very peaceful, the whole world is quiet. You don't need to, that is the time he says, use it to probably learn. Use it to do meditation. Use it to do something to Bhagavan. Or use it to gain some knowledge that you want to do. So those are the things we say. So many things in the dusk time. That is why the Sayam and Pratha Sayam Sandhya time are most conducing by Sattva, because the external factor of Sattvam and the internal factor of Sattvam, both when Guna Guneshu Vartante, when that both the Sattva of the external and internal, when they both become very conducive and they are ready to be joined together, whatever effort we do becomes fruitful for moksha. At that time, we don't have to. That is why that yearly we call Brahma Muhurta, etc. Because they are more applicable portion of Gita, I'm giving a little bit more into that. Tada. Then Bhagavan says, Sattvam Ityuta. Tada, in that time. That is why Yada Tada. Time is there, you see. So there is a time, every day this happens to all the persons, however you are. And use that time. Prakasha, meaning to say prakasha here means true light of knowledge, which is useful for moksha. So that is one thing. And then another one, lobha pravritirarambha karmana mashamaspruha rajasyetani jayante vivritte bharatarshava. And when that particular time, probably, I don't know, when you get up in the morning, suddenly it says, Lobaha, oh, I need to today get it somehow. I don't know. Lobaha, oh, I need to go get it today. Lobaha means I need to grab that. Pravritti, some karmanam, oh, I need to go immediately act. Come on, I have to act. And those are the time Rajas is functioning from you. Your Rajas Guna is on a very high factor now. Rajas is kicked in. Rajas energy is now kicking you to do all those things. At that time, Arjuna, imagine your Rajas Guna is kicking you more. And you just understand that if it is really the Rajas that you want to do. So what Bhagavan says is, and there is a condition aspect, external and internal. And you are the master. The main thing Bhagavan wants today is, you are not robots. What Bhagavan wants to say is, look, these are all our conditioning, you have the ability to condition these. The ability to condition this, or I will give you more in this one. You win tamas by rajas. You win rajas by tamas. Tamas is always the uttamam. Tamas will be able to win over rajas. Rajas will be able to win over tamas. It is never the other way around. The more and more time I go put into sattvam, sattvam will automatically pull you from the rajas. The more and more time I spent into rajas, certainly it will pull you away from tamas. You understand? So irrespective of age, irrespective of our bodily conditions, irrespective of whatever we may have, but that is how the samskaram is built. That's what Bhagavan is coming in the next subsequent shlokas. We want to bring good samskara for not only this birth and the birth to attain moksha, then use these conditional factors Bhagavan wants to say. And then he says, aprakasho pravrittischa pramado mogamevacha tamasya jani jayante vivritte kurunandana. At the time when you find totally there is a dullness, like for example, and certain times are like that, like, maybe at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you probably, it is completely, have done a day of fatigue, it needs to go. That's a natural thing. And pramadam, and that time you need to take a rest, probably you take a rest. Aprakasha, but if it happens in the early morning that you don't want to get up from the bed, then we have to realize, okay, there is something wrong. Something it is not correct. The sattva is not kicking its effect. So that these are indication lingam. Lingam means indicators, monitoring indications to say that aprakasho pravasha apravritti. Apravritti means depression, no more. Pravritti means to engage and do something. Apravritti means I don't want to be engaged in any action. I don't want to even race. I don't want to even go outside the world. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want, meaning to say total disengagement. Apravritti means total disengagement. Aprakasha, I just don't want to know anything. I don't want to engage with anyone. Pramadaha, I don't want even to take any advice. Even pramada normally is internal. Internal something tells you, hey, Babu, no, it's not good. Yeah, we are just sleeping up to 8 o'clock. We are doing, what is this? Sometimes, these times, your own guilt sometimes tells you. Sometimes it is, take it in the positive sense. Oh, yeah, maybe next time I should not really eat up to, maybe it has happened that, you had a very late dinner up to about 12 o'clock in the late night, and then in the morning you find you are not able to have, then you say, okay, fine, it is maybe that cause or something, but I'm just telling you a very simple one. When something happens like that, then Bhagavan says it is due to a tamas. Okay, now having got the knowledge of the three gunas, their behavioral aspect and how they reflect. One is the cause. the intrinsic knowledge of the three gunas and how they reflected in you. That Bhagavan said. And then Bhagavan said, be very careful, Arjuna. Though he is not going in this one. He says, now this shloka number 14, 15 are very, very important for our exit strategy. When I say exit strategy, to get the samskaram out of this particular janma, because they come with only a constant practice. This conditioning of a person, we are all a mixture of sattvam, rajas, tamas. As I said, nobody is 100% sattvam, nobody is rajas. But the more we condition towards sattvam, so that's why we say satsangam. Like, what we do now, this satsangam. This kind of a satsangam will only give you the investment back into sattva. However it is, by knowledge, by, even spending the time, by all those things. So, but what Bhagavan want to say is, when at the time of your last breath, how you are conditioned your body is how your samskara is going to give you the next body. So this guna is not only the up to moksha, every janma, this guna, their combination by which you have cultivated this and you have applied the seed is what your next janma is going to be. So Bhagavan wants to give an indication that, look, the end of the day, at your end of your janma, how you have invested your efforts into this, that's how your next janma will be decided. It's within you. So Bhagavan says, Yada satve prabhridetu pralayam yati dehabhrut tato uttama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. Yada satve prabhridetu. When you are in that, because this is very difficult. As we grow old, rajas and tamas catch you more, and tamas maybe catch you more. But if we can, that means internally that sattva must be so much inculcated. And we have to plant, nurture it. So, yada sattve pravrittetu. If that person, yada, what is that yada? At the last breath, the last time when he is going to release from this world, at that time, pralayam yanti, from this one, when he is going to deha brith, from this jivatma, when he leaves at the time of death, if he is in the sattve pravridetu, he is totally in the sattva, then for him, lokan amalan pratipadyate, then he certainly gets through higher worlds. And then his samskara in the next janma will certainly be for a next conducive birth, for getting more and more of the sattva in higher multiplications. And even between one birth to the another birth, he certainly has that amalan, the lokan amalan, whatever that higher world also between one birth to another birth, he gets all the amalan. Yogan means those yogas are those loka, whatever pitruloka, deva loka, whatever loka you go and come back, even that will be conducive for the next birth. So Bhagavan wants to say that, be careful, do that right today, right from every time, whatever is the sattva, and you see the monitors I have given you, do the indications, and then of course subsequent shlokas, chapters, will get more of it as well. So keep this one, like again, link it to the shloka chapter number 8, is that yam pismaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sadatat bhava bhavitah. That was also an exit yoga, Ashtama 80 chapter. Here chapter also says, yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalavaram. What he thinks and then leaves the body, that what he will exit in the next chapter, next janma as well. But then he says, rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate. If that person is only going to be in the rajas, like, every day getting up and saying, hey, yeah, I have got this now, so much of money, how this will go, will this be taxed or not, will my son children properly get it or not, oh, I've left there every day getting up, taking care, because at the last minute only you will see, because your balance is big, right? It will grow for everybody, anybody. So that time is the one, the attachment to the rajasi will be more. At that time, if you are going to be more about, oh, how will this house be monitored? I've got 3 houses. Yes, I've got, this will be done by that one will be that. He says, be born again and then keep toiling and keep going back and keep toiling back into that other one. Karma sangishu jayate. You will again be coming back to the grinding, everyday nature of getting caught in that wheel of that particular karma. Rajas. Toil, toil, toil. Then you find there is nothing in the toil. You go back in the soil. So that's what Sangishu Jayate. Tada pralinas tamasi muda yonishi. But that one fellow who was completely lost in the last time, nothing works, and then he's just only in the, he's just completely didn't even know what he has existed, what life he has lived, but he wants to go. Muda yonishu. He may be born as a tree or a something which is like a completely muda yonishu. Sattvam Stavara Jangam. In that only, in one of those things, maybe animal birth. So his next birth will be only Muda Yonishu Jayate. He has wasted the Narajanma. So that's why Bhagavan wanted to give you this investment in this three guna at all times. And then he says, Karmana Sukritasyahu Satvikam Nirmalam Palam, Jasastu Palam Dukkam Ajnanam Tamasap Palam. So end of the day, Arjuna, Satvikam Nirmalam Palam. The Palam, whatever that you do in the Satvik action, Satvik Buddhi, Satvik Karma, everything, that fruits is always Nirmalam. That means it's pure. Rajasastu Palam Dukkam. Rajas, though you may think as if there is lot of immediate fruits of comfort and luxury, but its fruit is always Dukkam. And Tamas, its only fruit is Ajnanam, to make you into a Muda Yonishu, to go from even the human birth to a very lower birth. That is the Tamas of Palam. So he has given you one fine description of the end fruit of these ones. And then he says, again the same thing, Sattva Sanjayate Jnanam, by Satvik Guna, by you adhering to the Satvik Karma, Satvik Buddhi, Satvik Aharam, that also Bhagavan will come in 17th chapter. Satvik Aharam, how does it help you? Rajas Aharam, how does it help you? Tamas Aharam. So by the food, by action, by our thoughts, by our what we read, what we see, what we feed into this brain or this mind, that one, by Sattvat, Jnanam Praptyate. Meaning to say, you only get that Moksha Jnanam. Moksha Jnanam. Rajasaha Loba Evacha. With the Rajas Jnanam, again and again, this want, desire, more and more of desire, and Dukkham. And Prabhado Moha. Again with that, Tamas, it's only Jnanam Avritya. That what he said, same thing is that it is only going to go to a delusion and dejection. And end of the day, Arjuna, Urtvam Gachanti Sattvastaha. The Sattvastaha means the Sattva Guna who are remaining in the Sattva Guna all the time. Urdhvam, they only go from higher birth to higher birth to higher birth, and that their conditions accordingly, I will make it 10 times better, from 1 to 10, 10 to 10. So it becomes multiplyingly much better birth samskaram for him. Madhye tishtanti rajasaha. The Rajasa only Madhya. It may go up and down, up and down, up and down. But he thinks he is doing something, but he wouldn't even know, because he is going to be toiling and the same grind of halt of 9 to 5. And Jaganya Gunavrittistaha Adhogachanti Tamasaha. The Tamasa Buddhi, he goes into a lower and birth, and then he is born as maybe of no use. Even forget about Narajanma. He does not even get any Janma that is going to be conducive for him to get moksha. So, Nanyam Gunepa Kartaram Yada Dashtana Pashyati, Gunepyascha Param Veti, Madbhavam Sodigachati. So, what Bhagavan says, Yada Drashta. Here, Drashta means Viveki. Drashta means that we see. But here the seer. The seer means what here? Yada. When that drashta means that seer, who was that jnani, that sattva jnani, who was viveki, understands that gunebhyaha anyam kartaram na anupashyati. Meaning to say, the kartara, meaning to say, he will say then, who is really making me do all this? Then he is slightly that viveki, drashta, because you are now becoming from a sattva guna, you are now becoming more and more of an observer. So you are able to handle these three guna. So what is happening now? You become more of a witnessing person. And by that witnessing person, he even deposits that kartaram, that, the doership, he puts it on the guna and say, hey, guna is doing this. I'm absolutely out of this. And whatever it may happen, that, and so he is able to even distance himself from the three guna. And that kind of a person, because only a sattvic person can do that. Because the sattvic guna, when it goes into good one, it even releases you from sattvic. See, that is the beautiful of sattvic. Rajas will make sure that you more and more of rajasic guna will make sure more and more it is 10 times bind you there. Tamas gunam, I told you, it will bind you to very take you to no one. But sattva guna, the bondage is such a pure, nice thing. It helps to release you to moksha. To how? Because he says, even the actions you do, he says, look, you are only a witness. I can't bind you anymore. Something like this. The Sattva Guna says, look, you have become very sattvic. I've seen that. I'm sure that Rajas and Tamas can do nothing to you because I'm the strongest in you. But you have become so good of a practitioner of sattva in everything. Now, you know what? I'm going to only act as an agent. You tell me how you want, I will act. But you are not going to be a karta. That's what kartaram. You are not a karta. I am that guna. I am doing the karta for you. And all the guna becomes slave, not slave. They will in your command. We can never command Maya. I'm not saying that. Maya is only in the command of Ishvara. But he is not a doer. That's all Bhagavan is saying. Gunebhyascha param veti matbhavam sa adhigachyati. And that kind of a jnani, when he is completely urdhvam, because he said urdhvam gachanti, he's only talking about the moksha. And he says that person at last, Arjuna, he becomes me. Madbhavam adhigachyati. He attains moksha through the sattva. And Bhagavan says, Gunadena Gunadena Dehi Dekasatvan, Janmamati Jaraduke Vimukto Amritamashtute. So Gunatita. So that's what I told in the previous one. Because he has now distanced himself from out of the doership agency, he is now completely even released from the three guna. So that is why he is called Gunatita. Gunanen Atita. Atitya means crossing over. Gunanena Atitya. Etan Gunan Atitya. Okay. So the Atitya, as in crossed over all the three gunas, because this Sattvic has lifted. Sattvic is like, it's releasing you from there. But these three gunan, Dehi Deka Samudvan, Janma, again for another birth, Mrityu, or the death, Jara, or is getting aged, or Dukkha, any kind of sorrow, everything from there, he is released. Vimuktaha. Amritamashnute. Amrita means that eternal state of happiness. Mokshamashnute. He attains the moksha. So what we have understood so far up to 20 is that by that sattvic guna is such a, it's a favorable bondage. Sattvika, so that is why we say always a satsangam. All the sattvika, whatever we do every day in that 16-20 hours, whatever we are, when we are in the awakening state. Because see, these three gunans, in the sleep state, we cannot do much. You cannot practice, right? Because it's in a kind of a tamasic state only. You're not working, you're not doing. But in that, whatever time we are there in the daily, the more and more we can invest the time through sattva. Even if you are working, that helps you to release you from this, for this moksha. And so Arjuna is now very inclined. So he is given this Jivan Mukta by handling this three guna. So he says, Kairlinga three guna netan adhito bhavati pero gimachara katam chetan three guna adhivartate. Or he says, Bhagavan, I want to have a mentor, somebody who has done this crossed over three gunan, etan three gunan, atita, kair lingaha. Linga means indication. What is the lingam of that person? See, where Bhagavan said lingam is only within that person. You only know in your heart whether your rajas gunam has kicked in, or a tamas gunam has kicked in, or a sattva gunam has kicked in. Like now that you are in the class, because your sattva gunam has kicked in. Very simple. that you didn't want to do anything, but you somehow wanted to spend the time and somehow want to listen this particular Gita, that means the Sattva Gunas kicked in. Right? So what Bhagavan, that indication, internally. But what Arjuna is asking, how can I see a person, other person, who has somehow he will be doing this and observing him, I can take him as a mentor, so I can also imbibe that qualities in me. So Kairlingan Tin Gunan Atito Bhadra Kimachara. How does, same Sita Prajna, same thing he's asking here. In chapter number 2, Sita Prajna, Kima Sita Prajeta Kim, something like that. But he is asking in the context of Gunatita. This person who has crossed over all the three gunan. Kim Acharaha. How does he move about? Katam Chaitan Three Gunanati. What is the process that how did he get over this? Please, can you tell me? So Bhagavan says, Prakasham cha pravritim cha mogameva cha pandava nadveshti na pravritani navrittani kankshati. Arjuna, that person may not look like, for you, he will look like a normal person, getting up in the morning, eating whatever you want, or even doing a truckie, or he is doing whatever work for you. But for him, internally, for that person, prakasham, that when the knowledge or pravritim, mogameva cha pandava, whatever that happens in this guna, he doesn't dveshti, he doesn't discard that. Or Sampravnivrtani Kankshati. He doesn't want, he has got no want in himself to say, oh, I don't want this Maya, I don't want this bondage or anything, because he's away from this. He's not a karta. So he's still engaged in the Maya, but then he has completely distanced himself. He himself does not have a want in himself to control. That's why I said Maya is not in our control, but he lets Maya control things as it wants to. So he has distanced himself. So he himself doesn't control. That one Bhagavan says. Okay. Then he says, but Arjuna, he is a udasinaha. He will be as if, remain as if not like an impartial man, that totally like a don't care man, but not like a don't care. He is not impacted. That's the one thing. Udasina means maybe that day something has happened. He doesn't reflect anything in that happiness or sorrow. Udasinavat. Udasinavat. That's why that vat is very important. Udasinavat means like a don't care person. Like a don't care person. Meaning to say, he does not have a like for anything. Nor haters. Udasinavat asinaha. He remains thus. Gunairna vichalyate. He doesn't get impacted by the gunas. Gunaha guneshu vartante ityevam yovatishtati. He remains apart and he understands. He is like an observer, observing the gunas, interacting with other gunas, and then he knows the cause and effect is happening outside of him. Outside of him, in the senses, it is he is just an observer. He is not trying to go and control them. Ati vartate. Na ingate, meaning to say he doesn't really comes to control them. Because he is always in that, because Sattva Gunam has put him in such a pedestal that he is even released from that. Na ingate, he does not avatishtati swarupa, because he is in that swarupam of his own internal happiness. When he is in that internal happiness of immense bliss, the external thing doesn't matter to him. And Samadukka Sukha Swastaha Samaroshtasna Kanchana Tulya Priya Priya Dhiras Tulya Nindatna Samstuti. Tulya means equality. Everything in Sulya. Samadukka Swastaha. That he treats all this one, what we saw in chapter 2 as well, right? Sukha Dukke Sangera. So he says whether it is for you, it may look that as if that person is in pain or he is happiness, but inside he is having everything in equanimity. Loshta Ashma Kanchanaha. Kanchana means whether it's a gold or a piece of sand, for him everything is same. It doesn't matter to him. Tulya Priya Priyaha. That he does not have anybody that is close to him or enemy. He equally has equality in both of them. Dhiras Tulya Nindatni. Somebody could praise him, somebody could scold him, but he treats all of them equally. And Manapamanayo Tulya, Manapamanayo Tulya, same thing. That when somebody is giving him big honor or somebody is dishonoring him, but tulyaha, he is completely in that equal. He takes them both equally. Mitra, Mitra Ari Pakshayo. Mitra means who is very friendly. Ari means enemy. Pakshayoho, Apakshayo, Mitrari, Pakshayoho. He doesn't take a side of his friend or his enemy. He completely remains astaha. Sarvaramba Parityahi. He does not have a sankalpa of his own. He does not have something that, that I have to. He is like a sannyasi, jnana karma sannyasi, from a karma yogi point of view. And gunatitas, that person is truly is a gunatitaha. And that gunatita, mamcha yovi vicharane bhakti yogena sevate. If at all that person needs to kind of, if at all exhibit something that you see, he will be only devoting that bhakti to me. And bhakti, yes, to Ishvara, he will certainly shower. Because by doing that bhakti, you never get any attachment. If at all. So, mamcha yog abhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. That yoga of devotion, that if at all you see that one, because that attachment is never attaching, it is you only is doing for a loka sangraham, but also it keeps him functioning as a mentor for other people. Sagunan samadhityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. In the end, this person, some guna atitya, that he having crossed over this three gunan, brahma bhuyaya kalpate, for becoming that Brahman which is more than all the gunas, because Brahman is apart from all the gunas. So the gunatita at the end also Brahma Bhuyam, that Brahman, Brahmaiva Meti Brahma Bhavati. So that person who has understood this Brahma Jnanam through this one, he himself remains in that Brahman or Sakshat Ishvara Bhavam. And then when Bhagavan finishes, says, Brahmanogi Pratishtaham Amritasya Vyasya Shashvasya Dharmasya Sukas Aikantikasya cha. He means indeed, because Apyayasya, because that person is always in me, Arjuna. He is the Jnani Bhakta. He Apyayasya Brahmanaha. That, immutable, Avyaya. Here it says Avyaya, Avyayasya Brahmanaha. That Brahman, this not the Chaturmukha Brahma, the Brahman, the Brahman, Atman. Brahman is same as Atman. So that Brahmanaha cha, Amritasya cha, Shashvatasya. So Shashvatam, ever the Jivan Mukta, forever remaining in that one until he breathes the last Shashvatasya Dharmasya. And whatever dharma that he is doing, even though as a Jivan Mukta and everything, and Sukas Aikantikasya cha, Aikantikasya Sukasya. Aikantikam means, the Aikantikam word comes from Ekantikam. Ekantikam means what? That it is very unique. And this Aikantikam means that which is so uniquely happiness, that is Satchidananda Brahman. That all pervasive Brahman. That's what Aikantikam means. That unique Advaita Sakshatkar. That one, in that Satchidananda Brahman, he remaining Sukasya. In that happiness, in that realm of happiness indwelling him, Pratishta Aham, because that he is nothing but Aham. Pratishta Aham. Here, this Pratishta Aham. So Bhagavan says that in which he is revealing, that itself truly is me. So I am in him and he is in me. And that is the Gunatita. And so in this whole, and that completes this particular Gunatra Vibhaga Yoga. But the last one, which is also like a Sthita Prajnaha, which is a beautiful mentorship of that particular persons we see. But the main thing that we also take that as the foremost model of a Jivan Mukta. But the main thing we get the inspiration is that I win the tamas by rajas, I win the rajas by sattva, and that sattva is the one that which end of the day gives me the moksha. And the sattva Bhagavan gave you by lot of clear its own inherent behavior first initially, and then he said how that comes as a effect in you. So one is said how it functions, and then how that functions in you and reflects it as in your behavior or in your resultant effect. That Bhagavan said, and identify yourself. It is for us to identify when certain things happens, how that I can make it conducive to the external world, because externally also this sattva raja guna is functioning from the morning sunrise to sunset. And in all the karma, everything we do, and also internally it is having a resultant effect because I'm engaged in a sattva action or a sattva buddhi or a sattva jnanam or a sattva patanam. And the one that I see whatever I'm doing, and from that there's a reflection of samskaram. And Bhagavan also said, develop that sattva samskaram so that you can immediately leverage that from one birth to another birth to moksha, and that we become a gunatita at the moksha, at the jivan gunatita in the final birth. In that janma, we become a jivan mukta and attain moksha. And that's what Bhagavan wanted to conclude this. And further in the further chapter 15, which is Purushottama Yoga, Bhagavan won't go much into the guna. When 16th is again is Daivasura Sampat, they're also mud, but 17th he will go more into the same gunas, 3 gunas, into how that can be put into action from ahara, everything. And then 18th chapter is full of these 3 guna in different one. And so the 3 guna foundation is giving you in this chapter number 14, which we can apply in the subsequent chapters. So having said that, I will finish today the summary of chapter number 14 by Sri Krishna's grace. Yes, Shashi Bhaiya. बोलिए तो आपका क्या डाउट है आपका?
Sorry.
Babuji,
are you going to give us this chapter with the same numbering like for every?
Oh, yeah, I can give you that. Oh, easy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that. Easy. I will do that. I've got the numbering. I will send you. Oh, easy. I'll do that.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for reminding me.
So good.
Thanks you. I will reminding me. I will put that in the same ticket.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. People who are in Sydney, hope to see you next week and Saturday, Sunday. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Namaskar.
Om Tatsat Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay, Ji. Thank you. Have a lovely week ahead.
Thanks, Mama.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.